Hello, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. The Premier League season is up and running. We had the Pretenders, Arsenal last night. We've got sort of the second act today and then the main event tomorrow with Manchester United. But there's a combination there in relation to Arsenal and Manchester United. An interesting development. Alexis Sanchez is apparently open to a move to Manchester United. Not really something that we've heard. We know he's available. If you saw the game last night, totally disenchanted with Arsenal, just a human being. Anybody would be if they played for them. Looking at Lacazette and really thinking any pass I play into him is going to bounce off into the Emirates second row. Not inspiring, seeing them struggle to a 4-3 win. Sanchez is better than that. He's got a year left on his contract. He's 29 in December. They're in the Europa League. His career's coming towards the end. He needs to play somewhere that befits his talent. He wants to leave Arsenal. Arsenal are being very arsey about it, to be honest, and he is open to a move to Manchester United. I think at this stage he's probably open to a move to most clubs in the Champions League, but Manchester United and, to be honest, Manchester City are both clubs that interest him. He's played with Pep Guardiola before, and there is an appetite to play under Jose Mourinho, somebody who has, throughout, when you think about Sanchez's career, been one of the best managers in Premier League football. In world football, Matthew McFadden has sent me a DM. That is to do with something apparently we will see live on air tonight at 8 o'clock, hopefully, the first ever Manchester United shirt with Goldbridge on the back. So we're looking forward to that, but that's not for tonight. Let's continue. That's not for this morning. Let's talk about the transfer news. So Alexis Sanchez to Manchester United. Would he want to come to United? Of course he would. The number 7 shirt's free, one of the most iconic football shirts in the world. Certainly the most iconic in England. Don't even start trying to tell me there's a better shirt in England. There isn't. Number 7, Manchester United, eclipse anything in the Premier League. So that's available. It's a shirt he likes to wear. It's a club where he'd be well received. He would be, you know, playing in front of proper fans week in, week out. Not flippant fans, not fans who think they're better than they are. Fantastic atmosphere at Old Trafford, fantastic global support. What's not to love? Play for Mourinho, something he's never done. Win a Premier League, probably, something he's never going to do at Arsenal. The issue is, it's not really Alexis Sanchez's openness to go to leave Arsenal. The issue is Arsenal, at the moment, apparently reluctant to let Sanchez go. And even though he's in the last year of his contract, Arsenal are apparently going to force him to stay for the last year and lose him for nothing. This is not the way to do things in the modern day. We've seen with Coutinho, I try not to laugh. I mean, Liverpool have spent all summer. He's not going to go. He's not in the last year of his contract. He's on a decent contract. He's just signed a new contract. Liverpool, oh, he's not going anywhere. We've got him on a 5-year contract. He's not going anywhere. And what happens? I predicted this. I tweeted it a couple of weeks ago. They're all going to look very stupid when he hands a transfer request in. Nobody at Liverpool really thought he would do that. Everybody thinks the power's with the clubs now because they've seen what PSG have done. It isn't. There is still an element, a big element of power with the players. And when a player hands a transfer request in, the club can do whatever they like, but they are messed up. So Coutinho hands a transfer request in at Liverpool. Liverpool now, you see them, they change their colours so fast, like chameleons. It's like, oh, we didn't want him anyway. But the reality is they can't force Coutinho to stay now because they've got a huge problem on their hands. They've got a player that has shown a lack of respect to the club, has turned their back on the club publicly, and he's put a transfer request in. Liverpool have to sell Coutinho. And this is probably why a lot of people have disrespect for Barcelona in relation to what happened with Neymar. Their hands were tied, they lost Neymar. But they've done it countless times, and Barcelona are the master at getting players to sort of force their way out, and Real Madrid are as well. And this is what Manchester United needed Perisic to do, really. He needed to put that transfer request in because then Inter have got nowhere to go. So Arsenal with Alexis Sanchez, they're adamant they're not going to let him go. What if Sanchez put a transfer request in? I don't think he will. I think he's he's better than that. You know, he has got an element of class about him. But I think Arsenal retaining him is stupid. They'll lose him for nothing in a year's time. They could probably get 40, 50 million for him now. The second aspect is that Sanchez can be open to a move to Manchester United. He'd fit in perfectly. You know, hopefully I probably still don't have it up on here, which is a shame. But yeah, you know, if you think about the 3-5-2 position, you'd stick him in behind Lukaku. If you think about the 4-3-3 position, you'd put him out to the left at the side of Lukaku. He'd fit in perfectly. He'd be our number 7. Mourinho would want him. United would pay for him, and Sanchez open to the move to United, of course. But the reality is, I don't think this deal can happen, and I've said it all summer, because Arsenal would rather sell him to City than sell him to Manchester United, which tells you absolutely everything about Premier League football, England, Arsenal, Man City. Manchester United, despite not being anywhere near a title for the last 4 years, are still the club that Arsenal would not want to sell a player to because of what happened with Van Persie, but also because we're a bigger club. You ask Arsenal fans, would they rather a player went to United or went to City? They're going to say City every time. So I think City have got a good chance of getting Alexis Sanchez. I think Arsenal would sell Sanchez to PSG, Bayern Munich tomorrow because it's not a Premier League problem for them. But Sanchez has got to do what's best for him. Does he want to leave the Premier League? I think personally at the end of the day there's probably more chance of him going to Manchester City, but it is interesting that he is open to that move to Manchester United. I just think Arsenal, I don't know whether we could get that deal done again, but I'd certainly welcome him. City might get him instead, says isn't he a right-sided player, says Tom Smith. Yeah, but he can play in off the left if he wants to. Why Man City, says... Right, okay, let's talk about some other Manchester United transfer news. Perisic. Let's talk about Perisic. So, Perisic is not linked to Manchester United today, so I don't have to start talking about how much I'd like us to sign him, and I think he will be the player that we do get. But in relation to... Why is everybody asking source? When have we ever started chanting about... We've been doing transfer shows for nearly 3.5 months. I don't put the source up for a very good reason. I don't really want to be promoting other news outlets. So if you don't like what we do on this channel, don't watch it. But asking for the source and that, we don't do that. And to start saying it is fake news and everything like that, you're completely on the wrong channel. When has anything we've discussed been fake news? You know it's out there. Go and search for it yourself. Don't come on here on the live comments doing stuff like that, because we've got moderators. You'll get put into timeout, and if you keep doing it, you'll get blocked. Don't ruin it for everybody else, please. We've been doing this 3.5 months. Don't need little childish comments about fake news. In fact, it's probably Arsenal fans. Absolutely. Get a new nappy on, because he wants to go. He wants to go. Don't come on a Manchester United channel moaning about sources, because Alexis Sanchez wants to go. You're an absolute clown if you don't watch that game last night and see how unhappy he is at the club, and they are digging their feet in, and they're going to lose a lot of money. But you're not going to win the league anyway. So Wenger is a clown. You know he's a clown, and you're a banter club. Let's get back to a big club, Manchester United, Perisic. Not going to say we're signing him. I think we will sign him, but that's not the news today. The news today is that Barcelona would take Perisic if they can't get Ousmane Dembele or Coutinho. It's a bit of a mess when you look at that. I mean, that's never going to materialise, but I guarantee Barcelona would get the Perisic deal done in seconds. They'd go 50 million, Perisic will go. And that will make us look very stupid. We spent 2 months on this deal. I think Barcelona would spend 2 minutes. But the interesting thing is that when it comes to Barcelona and what they're doing with their transfer window, and I wish United had the gall to do this. Maybe we try and do things properly. But the interesting thing is that when it comes to Ousmane Dembele and when it comes to, as I said, Coutinho, both those players are causing all sorts of problems at their club. In relation to Dembele, I think has stopped training. Coutinho's put a transfer market request in. You know, and they know they know Barcelona are after them, so they're forcing the move. Manchester United, we saw it with Matic. Matic, whatever anybody thought about him, I think like Lukaku, he's come into the club with the right attitude and the right words, and he wants to win things, and that's great. What we needed Perisic to do was do the same. You know, down tools, force the move. I know that's, you know, people don't like that, but that's the modern game at the moment. And it's all right going, oh yeah, but we're a moral club, and I totally agree with that. But by being like that, our transfer sum has been messed up to some degree. So Perisic to Barcelona, I can't see it. I'm sure they would go for Perisic if they couldn't get Dembele and Coutinho, but I think they won't have a problem getting either of those. Those players, as you can see, are determined to force the move to Barcelona. And to be honest, in the modern game, I think you can't just say a player who hands a transfer request in is a mercenary and what have you. Let's be totally honest. Imagine you're a Premier League player. You're a talented Premier League player. You're playing for a club that's got no real chance of winning the Premier League. You're going to be battling for mid-table. You know, you've got rubbish fans. Nobody really likes you. You've got a manager who never brushes his teeth. You know, you've got to put up with his stinky breath, giving you tactics each game. He's got no plan B. I'll tell you what, let's not do hypothetical. I'm talking about Klopp, I'm talking about Coutinho. So you're playing at Liverpool, never going to win the league, going nowhere really. You know, fans with heads in the cloud, thinking it's their year every year. That must be quite tiring. Then Barcelona, one of the biggest clubs in the world, says we want you to replace Neymar. I mean, come on. And then Liverpool are going, you've just signed a new contract, we're not letting you go. Well, what you sit there and go, oh, this opportunity of a lifetime's going to go. What are you going to do? You've got to put the transfer request in, haven't you? Transfer request. There's nothing wrong with putting a transfer request in. We've all played Championship Manager, football, FIFA, whatever like that. Putting a transfer request, it's like leaving a job, isn't it? And if you're a small club like Liverpool, then I'm sorry, if a big club comes knocking on the door, then there's a big chance that player's going to want to go. And if you say, no, we're not letting you go, transfer request goes in. They're doing exactly the same. What makes me laugh about Liverpool and every other club is they did exactly the same to Van Dijk and they got caught out. Arsenal have done it in the past. We've done it in the past. Rojo did it to come to United. And so we can't moan when Di Maria does it. It's the circle of life. I just think United need to do it a little bit more. Talking about United, Varela is leaving. He's going to some club. I don't know where. Begins with a P. All I would say about that is, we all get it right, we all get it wrong. Apparently I said Matic is rubbish. I never said Matic was rubbish. I've always said that Matic is a good player. What I said is, I had my concerns that I'd seen him a couple of times in the last few months of the season, namely at Old Trafford and at Anfield, and just the game passed him by. At the season that Mourinho got sacked, he was very, very poor. Even Mourinho admitted it. But it appears, granted, it's only pre-season games. We've got to keep. The thing is about Lukaku, who I think will be very successful, and Matic, who looks like he'll be successful. You cannot jump on a bandwagon in pre-season, even though it was Real Madrid and they gave us a good test. We've got to wait until at least October for everybody, and that goes for Lindelof as well. Everyone's saying Lindelof's a flop now. You cannot do it based on... That's the same as saying Matic is a success. You cannot do it based on the pre-season. We've got to do it based on a couple of months in. And I think they all will work out right, because the one thing I have been impressed about Matic that I didn't know is his attitude. The same as Lukaku. Wanted to come to United, very, very hungry. And also, what I did say about Matic, he's a top player, but I didn't think he was mobile enough, and I didn't think he suited United, and there were other players I would have wanted. I still would take Nainggolan over Matic now. I'd sell Matic tomorrow to get Nainggolan. That's my personal opinion. But what I am happy with Matic is he's a big, big improvement from Fellaini, as we can see already, and he looks like a massive improvement on a declining Carrick. So that's big and important for us. So no, I didn't ever say Matic was a bad player. I just was concerned as to whether he was on a decline. And to be honest with you, I think if you play alongside Kante, it's a bit like if you're a cleaner or a dustbin man, or you work in McDonald's, or you're a trader, or whatever your job is, and you're working with somebody else in the same role, and everything you go to do, they're like, no, I'm going to do that. I'm going to get that bin. I'm going to clean that floor. You know, it's like, I'm more than capable of doing it, but Kante's like that sort of... He did it at Leicester, he did it at Chelsea, won the league. He wants to be everywhere, and he probably wanders into areas that it's your job, but and that sort of suppresses you because he's just everywhere, and he's good at being everywhere. But I think maybe Matic sort of was a bit in the shade of Kante because he just wants to be everywhere. So hopefully that is the case with that. But in relation to I've had enough of you, Benjamin Hubble. I'll deal with that one. Thanks, moderators. In relation to Varela. There were a few top Reds who said, "Oh, Varela's brilliant. He's going to be the top. He's going to be a brilliant right back for Manchester United." And I was right about this one. I was quite consistent that he was never going to be a right back of Premier League quality. I think I said. He's decent in the sort of, against poor opposition, and he was okay. He had a good. The thing about Varela is, he's a bit like Cameron Borthwick-Jackson. He has got a good cross on him, and I think because he's got a good cross on him, he sort of stood out against all our other right backs. But defensively, he was a joke. Was it not him against Liverpool in the UEFA Cup who Coutinho, funnily enough, just mugged off? I think never good enough for me. And to be honest, it may be a little bit controversial, but the one player I thought that had the potential to be really good, and his career is totally nosedived because of Van Gaal, even beyond leaving Manchester United, was Paddy McNair. Paddy McNair, when he first came on the scene, had everything. He was good on the ball, he had good pace, he was strong for a very young lad, positionally sound, good in the tackle. I remember against Everton in Van Gaal's first season, we beat them. De Gea was man of the match, but McNair was fantastic. Then he got played a couple more times by Van Gaal, and Van Gaal took him off after half an hour. And I think it just destroyed the... You can kill a young player's career by killing their confidence, and McNair is a prime example of that, and he's never come back. But I think he's... Away from the current set that we've got, the Rashford, the Fosus, everyone like that, I think McNair was potentially the one that Van Gaal ruined. Varela was never as young as anyone thought as well. He's a bit like Lingard. I think Varela's 23 now, maybe even 24. He was 22, I think, when everyone thought he was 17. So he's gone. Will Keane, I always call him Will Keane. Michael Keane's come out. He went to Everton. He said there was definite interest from Manchester United, but I wanted to come to Everton. I think sour grapes there. I think Michael Keane made a big mistake that he'll learn from. Because he was on holiday with Jesse Lingard, I think he thought he was going to get a dream move back to Manchester United. And I think Michael Keane's a bit like Adidas. They think that Lingard's like a star player at United, and you know, he has some sort of sway. He doesn't. Michael Keane, you wasted your summer there going on holiday with Lingard. He was never going to secure you your dream move back to United. And of course Michael Keane wanted to come back to United. He was a young player at United. And I didn't want Michael Keane unless we were going to sell Phil Jones and Smalling, and Michael Keane would have been our backup centre-back. I would have been very happy there, but not as our first choice. I don't think he's a top 4 centre-back. I think he'll do well at Everton. But to say that we had interest, I think he goes on to clarify it later in the comments that he's gone to Everton because he wants first team football, and I don't think United could happen in relation to that. Tonight at 8 o'clock is Saturday Night Live. We've been doing it all through the summer. I think it's going to really take on it's been a very good show anyway. We just interact with your questions completely off the live comments. We just totally interact with it. I think it's going to work really, really well from now on. Now the Premier League started, because we will be talking about United predominantly, but we can filter in what's happened in the Premier League day, of which Crystal Palace play today, Everton play today. Rooney, Fosu Mensah. I won't be watching them. I'm not so sad as I'd try and find a stream to watch Crystal Palace play. Although I'm thinking maybe I will. It depends whether Fosu Mensah starts, and it depends where he starts. If Fosu Mensah starts in the midfield, I will find a way of watching that game, because that is passion. That's what us Manchester United fans are like. We have a very big interest in our players that we love, and that whether they're playing in a United shirt or not. I watched a lot of Pereira playing for Granada last year, as a lot of you did. And I will watch a lot of Fosu Mensah playing this year for Crystal Palace, because I believe in him. And I think that this is a fantastic loan move for him. He would never have got the minutes in a Manchester United shirt this season. And hopefully he's going to get a lot of minutes in a Crystal Palace Premier League side. In a team that's not as good as United. So that's going to make him have to work harder. So I'm very excited about that. Rooney, you know what? Rooney was a great servant for Manchester United. I don't wish him any bad. I like Everton as a football club. I really hope that Rooney can have a good year at Everton and find some form that he could never get back at Manchester United, and he never would have done. The reports on Rooney are that he's had a bit of a mixed pre-season. He scored a good goal against some Farmers, but then in the harder games he's gone missing again. All I would say to Everton fans is there's a reason we sold him. It was sad, but his decline was real. But I'll keep an eye on him. We'll see what happens. Anyway, Colin Moore says he would love to phone in and have a chat. It would be his first time. Monday night, do that. It's not my birthday, Gungshi. It's a running joke. But yeah, Zaki Zahir says he'd rather get Sanchez than Griezmann. I think we'd all like to get Alexis Sanchez, and I think Alexis Sanchez is certainly open to a move to Manchester United, as much as he's probably open to a move to Manchester City. But I just don't think Arsenal... I think Arsenal would rather lose money and keep him and lose him for free in January than sell him. But the big thing about this Alexis Sanchez thing is, if they do keep him and they force him to stay, everyone goes on about Griezmann coming to United in January. I don't think that can happen. I think it would be summer because he'd be cup tied, etc. In January, because he's in the last year of his contract, Alexis Sanchez can talk to who he likes. How about this? If he's open to this move to Manchester United or Manchester City, like many suggest he is, then what about it? In January, he's an Arsenal player. He commits to Manchester United to join us in the summer. And he can do that. It's up to him. Arsenal are powerless. So I think Sanchez will move in the next 2 weeks. But I don't think that's necessarily a good thing for United, because I think Arsenal will say, look, we'll let you go, but you can't go to United. And as I've always said about Sanchez, he clearly would come to Old Trafford. But I think he'd also go to the Emirates. Whereas with Van Persie, he only wanted to go to Old Trafford. Arsenal desperately tried to sell him to Juventus and he was like, no, I want to play with Ferguson at Old Trafford. And Arsenal just had to let it happen because otherwise they were going to have all sorts of issues. I think with Sanchez, he would come to United, but I don't think it's the be-all and end-all for him like it was for Van Persie. And I think because of that, Arsenal will do a deal elsewhere. But we'll have to wait and see. I think he'd be perfect for us. He'd wear the number 7. He's a very, very proven Premier League player, and he'd complement what we've got. But I still do feel it will be Perisic. And Kieran Lee's just had that. What transfer do you think we're most likely to make next? I think Aurier could be next if there's truth in that. But I do think we'll get Perisic over the line. I really do. Thanks everybody for watching. Don't forget to drop a like on the video. The sun's gone in. I've gone a bit pale. It's always tough to get the lighting right in this room. But thanks everyone for watching. Don't forget to drop a like on the video. Support the United Stand. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Bottom right hand corner. We're live again tonight at 8 o'clock with the Q&A. We'll be we'll actually talk about how Fosu Mensah did if he played, and Rooney, and all the United build up for tomorrow. I'm getting very excited. It's a bit like Christmas Eve today, isn't it? Really looking forward to it. Give us your thoughts below. Who do you think we will sign next? Do you think there is any realistic chance of us getting a big name before the end? And some people do believe that Sanchez could happen. I think if I was Alexis Sanchez and I was looking at a Premier League club, Manchester United is the obvious one because we haven't got as number 7. We do miss that sort of attacking midfielder, top talent. Going to City, they've got Bernardo Silva, David Silva, De Bruyne, Sane, Jesus, Aguero, Sterling. They've already got a lot of that type of player, and I'm sure they would want Alexis Sanchez. But at United, there's a gaping hole there for him. And the best shirt in the league to wear. So I just think Arsenal will mess it up. Thanks to all the Arsenal fans who've joined us and put the dislikes on the video. He's going. He doesn't want to play for you anymore. Why should people hide away from that? He looked like a player yesterday who just wasn't interested and was embarrassed. And to be honest, I can understand it. You're a joke of a club. You've been and you're becoming more of a joke of a club. I'm not saying United won't. You know, this is the challenge for United. We don't want to become that club that just argues over 4th place, and every time we draw we want the manager out, and every time we win we're saying we're going to win the league. It's banter club, but we don't want to become that. We're trying to become something that we've always been, which is credible and winners. And it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks, but tomorrow is what it's all about. Tonight at 8 o'clock is what it's all about. Don't forget to join us tonight. We'll have the unveiling of the Goldbridge shirt that somebody's bought, a Man United shirt. That's going to be interesting. And we're also giving away 5 Manchester United shirts tonight as well. So join us tonight at 8 o'clock. Thanks everybody for watching. Don't forget to drop your like on the video if you enjoy the content and you love the community, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. It's not really about me. I'm just the ignition. You're the drivers. I love that line. You are the drivers, so like yourself. Thanks everyone for watching, and I'll speak to you all very soon.